Sup guys, got a new video today. We're gonna be talking about the difference between squatting deep, squatting parallel, high bar, low bar, all that stuff, man. We're gonna talk about what squat you should do with in regards to your goals. We're gonna try to have some fun. I got my notes here. Open these suckers up. I always got notes, man. Look at this piece of paper though. I ripped it out of a notebook and it did not work out very well, but I still said fuck it, we balled. So hope you all are having a good time. Go ahead and comment down below. Do you squat low bar parallel? Do you squat high bar ATG? Do you think I'm a freak for squatting high bar and I'm gonna explode the tendon in my knee? Do you guys think I'm an idiot? Do you guys think I'm speaking facts? What do you guys think? You know what I mean? So just let me know what you guys think. With no further ado, with all jokes aside, we're gonna be serious in this video. I'm gonna talk about the pros and cons of squatting high bar, low bar, which one you should do, which one I'm do. You guys can guess which one I do. I squat high bar ATG. I'm a bit tired today. I feel a bit out of it, so just like forgive me, man. I've had a long week, dude. So if I like stumble over some words a little bit, just it's due to the fact that I have dementia. Anyway, so I like deep squats. So I'm gonna have a little bit of a biased opinion, obviously. I'm gonna be trying to talk about this from a non-biased perspective, but some of my own little opinions might slip in. So I'm gonna try to speak from a general athleticism perspective, although I'm gonna bring in strength sports because there's just such beautiful examples, dude, of why people do these movements, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and first start off by saying that neither of these movements are wrong. Yeah, neither of these movements are wrong, dude. It just depends on your goals, what you want to do. Do you only care about moving more weight? Squat low bar. Do you care about being aesthetic? Well, actually, aesthetic, that's subjective. Do you care about building more muscular hypertrophy? Do you care about general athleticism and knee integrity? And also having just freaking, I would pull up I can't really pull these up because they're sweatpants, and I'm not going to pull this down because I'm not wearing underwear. So if you care about, just being athletic, dude, then why the frick don't you squat high bar ATG, right? So yeah, with that being said, another thing that I'm going to be saying is that your anatomy doesn't really influence your squat. I know people are like, oh, dude, you have short femurs, squat high bar ATG, dude. Or, dude, no, you have too long legs. If you squat low bar or high bar, you're going to freaking explode. Don't do it. The truth is none of these things are dangerous. None of these things are wrong. It just depends on your goals. If you have short femurs, it's going to be easier for you to squat ATG. If you have long femurs, it's going to be harder for you to squat ATG, probably easier low bar. So just keep that in mind. Although there's dudes who are 6'4" who are squatting high bar ATG, it's all based around how you train and how you progress into these movements. Okay, so yeah, none of them are wrong. None of them are cheating unless you're doing a sport in which one of them is required. None of them are cheating. I never understood that. People saying straps are cheating. Cheating in what, dude? Like there's not a rule written in the sky that says don't use straps or it's cheating, or sumo is cheating, or conventional is cheating, or low bar is cheating. Dude, just shut up. Just shut up, dude. No one cares, okay? I'm so sorry. That was so disrespectful. So now with almost 4 minutes rambling about nothing, I have to take a sip of water. Let's talk about the pros and cons. So I'm going to start with parallel squatting because it's just the one that I can get out of the way, blah, blah, blah. Let's just jump right into it. So the general pros of high bar squatting is, the first one is you don't need to be as mobile. It's pretty obvious. You're doing a smaller range of motion. You simply don't need to be as mobile. So with that being said, it's going to be better for people who are they haven't trained a lot, right? They might be newer. It's going to be better for people who are a bit stiff. Maybe you have some injury history. It's going to be safer on a surface level, right? I'm saying safer in quotations. It's safer because you're not risking certain things. Although ATG squatting is healthier. We'll talk about that later. It's safer. There's less risk involved. It's safer for people who are compromised in terms of mobility. I'm just going to say that. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a bit easier in terms of technique and strength. Now, I know some of you guys are gonna be like, dude, you're a freaking idiot, dude. It's not easier. We're strong, right? And to be fair, if you're squatting 600 pounds, and you're squatting low bar, I'm not gonna like say, dude, it's low bar. It doesn't count, bro. I'm not an idiot, right? But one thing I'm gonna say is that all the dudes that squat the most in the world, they're squatting low bar. Why? Because you can move more weight low bar. It's just as simple as that. It's the same thing with sumo. Can you move more weight with sumo? Yeah. But is it cheating? No, it's a way to leverage a bit more weight, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You just want to lift more weight. Okay, that's fine. If that's all you care about, if all you care about is the number, okay, I don't really care. But with that being said, you can move more weight. Otherwise, everyone would be not doing it when they want to squat the most weight. But weightlifters have something to say about that because those dudes squat crazy amounts of weight, high bar. So again, it really depends on what you train, but the trend tends to be that you could squat more weight low bar, which is funny though, because people who say, oh, you're going to get hurt, that's ego lifting, tend to be people that say that because the guy's doing a ton of weight and maybe with bad form or something. But with low bar, you can squat more weight. Is that not ego lifting, right? I don't believe in ego lifting, but I'm just challenging the beliefs of those who use that term. I'm going off on a schizophrenic tangent. Let's get back to the point. Another pro is it's less risk for beginners going heavy. So if you're a beginner and you're just getting into the gym and you decide that you want to try to just like bump up an ATG squat, there's a lot more risk of you getting hurt, just not knowing what you're doing, not being comfortable with your body, not knowing enough about lifting, not having enough experience, right? Versus low bar, it's a lot less risk. That's why a lot of teenagers squat low bar. A lot of them squat parallel. It's just a lot better for a beginner. It's a lot more beginner friendly. That doesn't mean it's a bad lift. It just means there's kind of less to the low bar squat. I hate to say it, dude. It's a less range of motion. You hinge your hips and it's great. You move a lot of weight, but yeah. So it's a bit friendly. It's more friendly to beginners. Now let's talk about the cons of it though. Over time, it makes you a bit stiffer. This is just obvious because if you're not training a full range of motion or a longer range of motion, the muscles that are not being trained are just going to tighten up because you're not working in these deep ranges of motion. It would be like if I only moved my arm like this and I just walked around like this all the time and I only moved my arm. Eventually, if I want to move my arm out like here, I could probably still do it, right? But it's going to be like, ooh, I can feel a little bit of a stretch there. Same thing with an ATG squat, right? If you only squat low bar and then one day you try to sit in an ATG position, your back's probably going to be rounding. You're probably going to have your back rounding a sharp ton, right? Your heels might be coming off of the ground, all that stuff. You're not going to have any thoracic back extension. Your back's going to be hunched over in that ATG position. So it's going to stiffen you up a little bit, right? Which, hey, if you don't care about that, that's fine. It's fine, man. I think it's harder to bail because you're in that hinged over position. If you don't have safety pins or a spotter, you're pretty much screwed. If you're bailing, you're pretty much going down, dude. So use a spotter, use safety pins. I've seen some pretty cursed things happen with low bar squatting in my time in the gym. Crazy stuff, man. So just be careful, watch out, Girl Scout, all that stuff. Don't be stupid, be smart. Don't ego lift. And another con is you don't get that deep leg strength. Kind of goes back to the mobility thing, but you're not accessing that deep squat. So that's pretty much like half of the range of motion. Like if this is the parallel squat, right, you can go down a little bit more. You're neglecting this bottom part. You're not going to get that extra strength down there. And we're going to talk about why that could be bad when we talk about the ATG squat, right? So low bar squat, parallel squat, it's less risk if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to train the ATG squat, if you don't watch YouTube, if you don't care about it really, if you just, or it's great if you're just like, you're just dedicated, you love strength. Strength is your fucking pursuit in life. You don't really care about like athleticism. Well, strength is a component of athleticism, but you don't care about like being like a CrossFitter or something like that. You just want to freaking move heavy weight and you just want to scream and be awesome, dude. Then low bar's for you, right? But at the same time, it's going to stiffen you up a little bit. You might not be as mobile. That's completely okay, though. You're going to be able to lift crazy weight and mog. So if that's what you want to do, low bar is for you. You. Now, let's talk about ATG squat pros. So in contrast to the high bar ATG or the low bar, dude, I'm just gonna say parallel, deep. The deep squat, in contrast to the parallel squat, you're gonna get into that deeper range of motion, right? What does that mean? Well, now your knees are getting more blood flow, the tendons in your knees are getting more blood flow, the hips are getting deeper into them. Overall, you're just getting more blood to the tissues, you're getting in a deeper range of motion. You're getting good ankle mobility and stuff. This is going to help your mobility, right? Before I was squatting deep, I was squatting parallel, I could not touch my toes. And, through just dedicating some time to building mobility, building better spinal flexibility, more mobile hamstrings, more mobile hips. All of these things have really helped me in realizing that I am someone that enjoys being able to access full ranges of motion, or at least trying to get to these better ranges of motion. And through the ATG squat, you're going to access these better ranges of motion, right? It's just how it comes with the movement, right? It's also, I think it's better for hypertrophy. In my opinion, you guys can like see, like, let's talk about this, right? Let's say you do a pull-up and you just clear your chin over the bar. You're going to build muscle like that, right? You're still going to get a big, juicy, round, succulent back if you do that a lot and stuff like that. But now let's say you do the pull-up, but now you're touching your chest all the way to the bar, right? Instead of just your chin needs to clear, right? A lot of people do this. Now you're touching your chest to the bar. You just try this right now. Try this, right? Just chin versus chest to the bar. You're getting a way bigger contraction in your back. Now, if you think about it with the ATG squat, let's say you're squatting parallel, you're getting some leg stimulus. Don't get me wrong. You're not neglecting your legs, but now if you get all the way deep in and you really focus on the muscles in your legs and you jet out of the bottom of that squat, you're going to feel your legs fire up like crazy. Personally, for me, dude, when I'm in the bottom of an ATG squat, after training my abductors and adductors on those machines that everyone makes fun of, I feel like my legs are just I feel my legs. And it's amazing because a lot of people can't feel their certain muscle groups when they're in these positions, but I can feel my quads, I can feel my adductors, my abductors, I can feel all of these muscles, and I just know that which ones I'm working, right? So I think it's better for hypertrophy. You get a deeper range of motion. I mean, usually with the field, if you get a deeper range of motion, it's usually better for hypertrophy. But, some of you might disagree with that one. I think it's good for overall joint integrity and health, especially in your knees and hips. Now, there's a common misconception that squatting deep is bad for you. I talked about our boy Yoel Seidman in one of my videos. Go check that one out if you guys haven't, where he's talking about, I don't need to train these deep ranges of motion because I go 90 degrees parallel, and I break down why that's wrong and stuff like that. Let me just say this, no range of motion is inherently dangerous, okay? A deep squat is not inherently dangerous. A bench press is not inherently dangerous. Whatever it may be, rounding your back is not inherently dangerous. I know some of you guys are going to think I'm an absolute idiot for saying that. And it's fair for you to believe that because that's what you've been told your entire life, right? But the thing is, when you go down to these lifts and you break them down, and you take them from zero, you take them from the barbell all the way up to heavy weights, you start to realize, oh, maybe what I've been listening to my whole life is from people that don't really lift and they don't really understand how the human body is supposed to move. So let's talk about tendons for a second, all right? This is a bit of a side tangent when it comes to good for joint integrity and health. Tendons are connected by collagen fibers, right? Think of them as little spaghetti strands, right? They come together like this. Your tendons, they spindle up, right? Now, tendons are they don't get as much blood flow as muscles. So let's say you squat deep once and you've been squatting parallel this whole time and you try to squat, let's say you squat 315 parallel and you say, okay, now I want to do that ATG. And you do that and you feel something, pull in your knee, and all of a sudden you got some tendonitis going on. Effectively what happened is that you did not train a range of motion that had no blood flow, right? Because you weren't taking those tendons through that range of motion, and you immediately exposed it to the same stimulus that you would with something that you have trained a lot. Now your tendon is damaged. Okay, so how do you heal the tendon? Tendons don't normally get blood flow. So if you just decide, all right, I'm going to leave it, I'm not squatting anymore, and when I do feel better, I'm only squatting parallel, I'm never going deep again. Well, that knee is going to be aggravated for the rest of your life because tendons don't get blood flow unless you force blood into them. How do you force blood into them? You get a full range of motion. You train them. So this is where I talk about a deep squat with super low weight, right? I'm talking if you have bad knees, the first thing you should do is get up on your toes, grab two support systems, like two beams or something, get all the way down and just pulse and get blood gushing into the knees, right? And then move to an ATG split squat, and then move to a bodyweight ATG squat, and then start squatting with just the bar ATG and do that for high reps, get blood gushing into the tendons. All of a sudden you're adding more weight, and now your knees feel better because you're actually getting blood flow. You're getting nutrition to the tendons, right? You're getting all those vitamins and minerals, blah, blah, blah. They're all healing the tendons up. And your tendons like, oh, we have blood flow now because we're actually getting, movement promotes blood flow, right? So if I'm squatting deep, blood flow is coming into my knees, blah, blah, blah. My knees are healing. It's just, it's better for your knees and for your overall joint health, right? The guys that get hurt from squatting, they did it wrong. And instead of trying to fix their issue and being proactive about it, they decided, okay, I'm just going to listen to old school advice and just leave it. Rest, ice, compress, and elevate. Well, what does that do? It completely gets blood out of that whatever area that is, and effectively gets no blood flow, and it's kind of dying. It's a stiff, just dead tissue, right? So I don't know if what I just said makes sense. Basically, training in deeper ranges of motion promotes blood flow to the tendons, the avascular tissues, and it helps over time build these tissues, these tendons to be thicker, stronger, more resilient, making it less likely for you to get injured. And this logic is the same with the ATG squat. So when you squat deep, you're using more of those knee tendons, they're getting more blood flow. Of course, if you progress it over a long period of time, you slowly build up to it, you're gonna eventually realize that, oh, this was good for me all along. My knees feel greater than they ever have. I can squat deep, I can squat heavy, I feel great, okay? Now, rant over. Another thing is it's better transfer over to sports, especially things like combat sports, wrestling, not necessarily boxing or whatever, but like wrestling and stuff like that, MMA. If you're in a really deep takedown or something and your knee is like really bent and stuff like that and you're going down, I mean, actually in wrestling, when you take shots, you bend your knee completely, right? So if you have strong, resilient knees from doing ATG squats beforehand in the preseason, building up those legs, building up that strength, building up that resilience, you're not going to get hurt in season with your knees, right? Versus if you've just been squatting parallel and now all of a sudden you're bending your knee fully and then lifting someone out of that position for a takedown, no wonder wrestlers' knees get hurt. They don't train this range of motion that they should be training. So it's going to have better transfer over into sports. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be more athletic. You're going to be more or less likely to get injured, okay? It's more leg dominant. That's obvious, right? When you hinge your hips, it becomes more of a lower back, posterior chain. These things get more used, kind of similar muscles in the deadlift, but if you stay upright, it's mainly all just in the legs, the quads, right? All those things. And it's easier to bail. When it's here, all you have to do is get your hands out and jump forward and you're good. So it's easier to bail. Let's talk about cons now, because I just literally like pretty much was if I was a salesman, you would think like, oh, he really wants me to buy the deep squat, right? But it's free, so I'm not trying to sell you anything. Cons, it's harder to learn. Beginners can get hurt if they go too heavy. More mobility is needed. And the last thing I'll talk about here, because some of you guys are going to freak out, is you can hurt yourself if you're bouncing out of the bottom of it. Now, if we look at weightlifters, right? I love weightlifters. I love weightlifting. Although they do some things, right? Every sport is not necessarily healthy. In football, you're clashing heads. In basketball, actually basketball is not really, no one really gets hurt. I guess some dudes, their ankles pop out and shit like that. In soccer, people are getting hit in the face with the ball kicked. MMA, you're getting beaten the fuck up. Weightlifting, you're bouncing on your knees, right? No sport is really healthy. It's just a sacrifice you make. But if you see a weightlifter bouncing out of the bottom of the squat, they're doing that because in their sport, they're catching a weight and they have to stabilize it, and then they have to use momentum to get up. So if you bounce out of the squat every single time you squat ATG, it's probably not going to be the best for your knees. But again, if you do it a couple times here and there, it's not going to be that bad. If you do pause ATG squats or you control it, nothing like that is ever going to happen. As long as you progress efficiently and you recover properly and all that stuff, you're going to be just fine. But yeah, you can get hurt if you're bouncing out of the bottom, but you're really not going to, especially if you've been training it before. Again, you're going to be more resilient in these tissues. They're not just going to be like, they're not going to be like paper when you bounce out of them. So that's just to say that. Yeah, beginners can get hurt if they go too heavy. I used that analogy earlier with the guy that's been squatting parallel and he decides, I want to squat the same weight parallel that I do in the hole, and you're going to get hurt if you do that. So just be careful. And more mobility is needed. You need to build up your foot and ankle complex. You need to build up your hips. You need to build up your knees. These things take time. They take exercise. They take research. They take effort to build up. So it's going to take a lot of time. If you're working 2 jobs and you already do another sport and you're just lifting 2 and you have a family and a wife, it's going to be a lot harder to learn how to do an ATG squat than if you're just deciding to squat low bar. So just be aware of that. It does take more time. So that's pretty much everything, man. As you guys can tell, I'm a high bar ATG advocate. I like squatting deep. Squatting parallel's fine if you just want to move the most weight. If you're a pure strength guy, If it's like powerlifting, again, why would you squat deep if they don't need you to? If that's all you care about is the numbers, that's perfectly fine, more power to you. But if we're looking at it from an overall health perspective, from an athleticism perspective, from just overall health and athleticism, we do want to be squatting high bar ATG. Also for bodybuilding, I think for building those legs up, you really do want to be squatting ATG, in my opinion. I mean, just look at Tom Platz, dude. Nothing compares to squats, right? So I hope everything I just said didn't sound like word garbage. Let me know if you guys understand what I was saying. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I've changed your opinion on anything. Let me know if you're going to start squatting high bar ATG, or at least give it a try. If you do, again, build it up from the ground up. Bar, 25-pound plates, even 10-pound plates, 35-pound plates, 135. Slowly move it up, right? Do high reps. Really get comfortable in that position, and then you can start pushing numbers. So, hope you all have a good day. Cheers. Happy Thanksgiving. It's January.